So for the last film today, I want to talk a little bit about this movie called An Education, as I said, directed by Lone Scherfig, which was co-written by Nick Hornby. Nick Hornby is one of my favorite British novelists. He is the author of High Fidelity and About a Boy, two novels which were turned into successful movies as well. And this movie, for a quick plot summary, we have this 16-year-old girl who's going to school in Twickenham, just outside London. She plays the cello. She's very bright. She's been studying to go to Oxford, okay, and she has a very nerdy boyfriend, you know, her same age. Not really a boyfriend, but a friend who's a guy who would like to be her boyfriend, I should say. Sort of the Jesse Eisenberg, Michael Cera type, you know, of Britain in the 1960s, and if that existed. But she wants more of life than what she's doing. I mean, she's droning on, she's a good student, you know. Her parents are very overprotective of her, and one day, coming home from school with her cello, a big rainstorm comes, and this man pulls up in a maroon Bristol car, this fancy car. It's Peter Sarsgaard, who is about twice her age. She's 16, he's got to be in his early 30s probably, and offers her a ride home, and of course she doesn't know this guy, and she's a little suspicious, and he says, well, at least let me take your cello home. I'm a lover of music and all this stuff, and he's very suave, he's very charming, and he says, she said, well, how can I let you take my cello home, because you might just take off with my cello. Yeah. Okay, he said, we'll put the cello in the front seat, you in the back seat, and that'll make it all okay. So anyway, he picks her up, he takes her home, and he charms her from the first time. He talks with her, starts, you know, coming into her life, offering her, you know, dinner dates, champagne, weekends in Paris, going to jazz clubs, going to art auctions, introduces him to his best friends, who are who are Danny and Helen, played by Dominic Cooper, who you might have seen in Mamma Mia and some other films, and Rosamund Pike, British actress. But there seems to be something not quite right, you know, about the Peter Sarsgaard David character. Not that he's sort of a Silence of the Lamb kind of person, you know. I mean, he's not threatening in that way, but it turns out that he and his best friend, the Dominic Cooper character, have a kind of shady business where they go in and they buy antiques or paintings, sometimes almost through force from people at a very lowball price, and then resell them at a high price. So this is how he finances his very lavish lifestyle. While this young woman is very bright in many ways, and I think she knows in part what she's getting in for, she is not ready for the sort of, you know, the inevitable disappointment that she gets at the end when she realizes the truth about him, both his sort of marital status as well as his business status. Yeah. So after the sort of seduction, after, you know, escaping after giving up Oxford basically, after having her headmistress and her favorite teacher turn on her at school because they're so disillusioned with what she's doing, she becomes engaged to this guy, who it turns out is actually married with children, you know. Because you wonder, what would a guy this charming and well-to-do be, you know, after the 16-year-old for anyway, you know, yeah. and that never occurs to her, and apparently never occurs to her parents, who are really well played by Alfred Molina as her father, and Cara Seymour as her mother, because they're as charmed by him as she is, and as we are. I mean, we're sort of like those parents who are kind of concerned about this girl, but this guy just seems so witty and clever and charming and handsome and all the rest of this, that it just doesn't occur to us. And the last thing I would say is this is a major star-making performance for Carey Mulligan. She plays the young woman. She's 24. She plays a 16-year-old. She captures both the boldness and vulnerability of her character. It requires an impressive range of acting because she comes of age from a sort of uniformed schoolgirl to a sophisticated ingenue, from a dutiful daughter to a sexy girlfriend, from a young woman who seems confident about exactly what she's doing to a person who is compromised, betrayed, and ultimately hurt, causing her to reverse her course as she must, you know, swallow her pride. And somehow this young Carey Mulligan, who reminded me of a young Audrey Hepburn, pulls all this off. So, effective movie,